Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming back. Today, we're going to do with Brendan, we're going to do Selected by Extraterrestrials, which is the bibliography of William Tompkins. And this is going to be William Tompkins number three. We've already done number one and number two, which can be found on Technology Envoy. Plus, Brendan will be putting this up on his channel, and there'll be a playlist to connect everything together. This is actually chapter one of the book. It's the chapter is a think tank is what it's called. Um, I knew the associate. Well, actually, I'll explain the people that I know who personally knew William Tompkins. There's six people. The first person I'll talk about is Dr. Robert Wood, who was the main editor of Tompkins' books. I knew him. I also know Dr. Sala, who is the associate editor of these books. Um, Jeff Rentz knew Tompkins. I met Jeff. Frank Chili knew Tompkins. He was the one that really brought him out and put him on the Jeff Rentz show. Um, David Wilcock knew Tompkins personally. I've had contact with him, of course, because of Stavati and other things. And who's the last person? I forget now. There's
David
doctors.
Wilcock, you
Yeah,
mentioned him.
Dave. Yeah, David Wilcock. Yeah, Carrie
I think
Cassidy.
Cassidy interviewed him. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was. Maybe I didn't mention Carrie Cassidy. Yeah, Carrie Cassidy really was the person who actually brought William Tompkins out. Really, she interviewed him, but she also interviewed David Wilcock with Pete Peterson, and there's a connection, of course, back to Stavati Aerospace with all of that stuff. So it's kind of an interesting group. But anyways, I'm talking too much. Brendan, let's get going. And thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Eddie. Okay, so I'm going to read this. I think it's chapter what 10 pages from chapter one. So
Yep.
it's William Mills Tompkins, selected by extraterrestrials. My life in the top secret world of UFOs, think tanks, and Nordic secretaries.
Yep.
Okay, chapter one, a think tank. Breathing a sigh of relief, I stepped onto the sidewalk of an early 1951 spring morning in sunny Santa Monica, California. I was renting a room at a nice lady's home, only 6 blocks from the beach, 11 blocks from the Douglas Aircraft Company, and 11 miles from Hollywood High School, where I received my education. I had flash images of the beach filled with bikini-clad dreamers of movie stardom lounging in the sun. As I headed out on my walk to work, my curiosity resurfaced. I couldn't help but wonder what a kid like me was doing in a think tank. Called it advanced design, but I somehow sensed it was a think tank. I didn't even know what a think tank was before I was given the job.
That's funny.
I'd never done anything like it before, and I certainly wasn't qualified for the job. Unlike so many other more suitable candidates, I was just a draftsman. Well, maybe like a junior grad, but certainly some sort of military pawn. I thought nobody tells me anything around here. They just have me figuring things out, like the requirements for maneuvering vehicles in a vacuum, accomplishing stage separation, and establishing a moon base.
Wow.
There were many compartments. It was like a maze. In a way, the tank was kind of spooky. I wondered what exactly did all those grey-haired PhDs do down the hall. The PhDs had a really strange way of operating. They would say, look into this or see if there's some way we could do that. They never gave me any supporting documents to go on. Nothing that I nothing that I could refer to. Sometimes I didn't know what the hell they were talking about, but
That's
it
funny.
didn't matter. They wanted me to put together something that would protect our systems and spacecraft carriers from them.
I'll just stop you for a quick second there, Brandon. Eventually, what William Tompkins is talking about here is the Solar Warden program. And I was thinking about the name of Solar Warden. Like, what does that mean? Well, solar, because it's the whole solar system that they're actually patrolling, and they're the ones that are protecting it. So that's where the Solar Warden part comes in. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that because it doesn't come up in the book until way later, I think.
What system? I would think spacecraft, them. Ideas rolled round between my ears. In the back of my mind, I started to wonder if our government was having problems with some really bad aliens.
Hmm.
Still, despite the lack of information, I felt privileged. It was all so incredible for me. I was positive that what was going on inside the tank was extremely important. I
Yeah.
could feel it. It bothered me when I considered again the possibility that life existed elsewhere in the universe. I thought that maybe I was being guided towards opportunities that were somehow related to that concept. At nearly the same time in 1951, on the other side of the planet, in the South China Sea, Admiral Steve McDonnelly, a strikingly handsome 6-footer, relaxed in his battle command chair on the bridge 10 levels above the flight deck.
Hmm.
The captain and executive officer were below deck. Mac was on this fantastic bridge with the most experienced personnel and the most advanced weapon systems ever assembled on a naval warship. It was 21:30 on a crystal clear night. Mac couldn't remember at any other time in his military career observing such a peaceful calm. So 21:30, I assume that's 9:30 rather than the year
Yeah.
21.
Yeah. That's military time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He was commander of a battle group cruising non-combat at 14 knots, consisting of the largest aircraft carrier on the planet, the USS Coral Sea, CVB-41, with 97 of the most formidable nuclear combat aircraft ever assembled, Douglas A-3 Sky Warriors. In
Wow.
addition, under his command, he had two cruisers, four destroyers, and an attack submarine. Mack, a former fighter pilot, was considered one of the top combat officers in the Navy. This was his first deployment as flag commander of an entire battle group. Lieutenant Commander Bob Corson, officer of the watch, commented, "It is a very nice evening, but strangely dark, Admiral." Page 3.
Yep.
Yes, it certainly is, Mac replied. At that moment, the entire flight deck was engulfed in a brilliant white light encompassing the ocean and all 7 ships. "Sir, should we sound general quarters?" Corson asked. It came over the intercom from below deck in the Combat Information Control CIC. "Sir, my search radar screen is whited out, entire upper screen." The operator reported in a low scream. "The sun came out," the helmsman shouted. "No, it didn't. It's daytime." "No, it isn't. The dirigible is falling on us.
Yeah, dirigible. Yeah.
Dirigible, no, it isn't. That dirigible is falling on us. That's no effing dirigible, sir. Was broadcast over the automatic ship-to-ship CIC radio commentary to the carrier from all accompanying ships. An extremely large cylindrical vehicle is located 400 feet above our carrier.
Wow.
Indeed, triangulation established that the object was over 8,000 feet long and 50 feet in 500 feet in diameter.
Wow.
It emitted a bright. Sorry, I'll read that again. It emitted a brilliant light source that encompassed its entirety. On deck, it felt like a warm summer day. Sir, should we sound general quarters? The captain and the executive officer, now on deck, took their answer from Admiral Mack, who looked up and shook his head. Negative, and don't launch the fighters. For 8 minutes, over 5,000 crew members of the battle group came up on deck and witnessed this encounter,
Wow.
knowing that they would probably never be able to reveal what they had just witnessed. With tears in his eyes, feeling that he and his entire battle group were now on patrol out in our galaxy, he felt had somehow allowed a far superior galactic force to possibly step on them and squash them. Telepathically seeing a smile on the face of that starship's boss. Were they friendly? So I'll read that again. Telepathically seeing a smile on the face of that starship's boss. Were they friendly? Admiral Mack got up from his command chair to salute the admiral commanding the massive intruder. He couldn't, saying to himself, "You, sir, may even be from a different galaxy." One, first day in the above top secret compartments. A think tank buried inside an engineering department of one of the world's largest aircraft manufacturing plants. Question mark. That's ridiculous. Maybe inside the California Institute of Technology, Caltech, over in Pasadena, but certainly not in the Douglas Aircraft Company at Santa Monica Airport, right? Wrong. Something really weird was going on in one particular part of Douglas engineering, and I had been selected to participate in it. To gain access, I had to enter a highly classified walled-off area inside the engineering department through a locked door. On my first day, I was given a temporary badge. I was not, however, given a key to the area. Someone had to buzz me in. A grumpy middle-aged man in a business suit ushered me down one of the halls into a room. My first assignment in advanced design was in this small room with no windows. It seemed to me to have been an office. I could tell there had been pictures on the now empty walls. The only furniture was the standard drafting board and a stool. I was alone in that room for 2 days. Nobody even came in to tell me when it was quitting time.
That's funny.
On the third morning, 3 grey-haired men were waiting for me when I came in. Without introductions, each instructed me to determine 1. A method to transport heavy equipment from 316 to caverns 329 and 330, saying they need a prototype by Sunday. Number two, a method that would enable them to stabilize a rocket stage that had malfunctioned during descent. And three, the risk factors in misinterpreting the intent of acquired computations involving recorded data. Okay, which one's my boss? Which task do I accomplish first? How big are the caverns and how big is the equipment? What are you doing underground? I thought we built airplanes here. What's this stage? Stagecoach?
That's funny.
Um, Descent of what? And whose recorded data? They kept me in that little room for 3 weeks, moving me then further down to one of the halls to a larger area with empty walls and 5 drafting boards. I got the feeling I had been there before, but everything was different. Before, it was like a conference room, much larger and with strange inhabitants.
Hmm.
My thoughts were interrupted and faded away as a nice, young, good looking guy with wavy hair and a big smile stood up. He was holding out his hand for me to shake. I am Jim Jenkins, he said. Welcome aboard the mysterious and tantalizing upheaval of science research.
Mhm.
I am Bill Tompkins, and I have 3 bosses. How many do you have? I don't know. Quit counting last month. I somehow knew that I had seen him before. I really liked this guy and knew that we were going to be real good friends for a long, long time. Two, 1 year later, Face of Deception, 1952. The time was 10 minutes past 5 a.m. I pushed my hair from my forehead. I had gotten up early, just a daybreak. I slipped into my dark blue pants and white dress shirt and went in search of a cup of coffee. At 6 a.m., I turned into the Douglas plant parking lot at the Santa Monica airport. Good morning, the guard smiled. Without delay, I entered engineering, showing my red line badge to the nice lady behind the signing counter. Tight security, I said. She nodded. No party crashes allowed. Not much aeroplane manufacturing here, I thought, but there were a lot of advanced aircraft and weapon systems based projects underway. I passed 500 empty drafting boards on the main floor. Approaching the narrow entry, I slid my coded card into the slot and put, uh, whoopsie, pushed open the first door
Yep.
and then the second. I stepped through into an altogether different world. The offices and cubicles, even the laboratories, weren't so much the focus, but the scientific deep space research definitely was. Formulas, space time diagrams, and astronomical charts lined the walls. The academic atmosphere and attitude was analyzing and solving critical problems at any cost. It had to be accomplished. The lobby of the engineering tank was at the end of a long hallway. It was cheerful, brightly lit, and well furnished. I rested my hands on the top of her desk. Dobie, Dobie, do, I said. Sparkling eyed adorable little thing, Alessandra, gave me a big smile and replied, Doby, Doby, do to you, Billy boy. Isn't strangers in the night appropriate today? I asked. You're a little late, Bill, Alessandra responded. Some of your buddies are already down the hall. Up she popped from the chair, revealing her short red-orange dress. She gestured toward me. Are you going to Witten's party, or are you just going to duck into your design area and call in sick at the last minute? You know that bastard Edelson will be here. There was no mistaking the flirtatious overtones in her voice. My eyes flashed over her form.
Yep.
Do I have a choice here? Go into your area, Alessandra said. I'll be over at break. Instead, I went down the hall towards the conference room, even though I was frustrated. Stopping, I sensed that something was wrong. I felt safer in the walled-off advanced design think tank area than out in engineering. The fewer ears, the better. We were never told, but the team suspected that the projects were based around extraterrestrial intervention.
Wow.
I was worried. Something was making a terrible noise in my head. My body began to shake. What were we really doing in here, I wondered. We must be part of something astronomical, something unbelievable. Whatever it was descending on us with overwhelming intensity. Before the day's program review, I tried to rationalize the contract again. It seemed to control everything. I thought it must be a naval contract, but why Douglas? Nobody in here actually called it a think tank. But that's what advanced design really was, an intelligence contract. Maybe they had a control group chaired by some top guy in defense, and he or they had selected Douglas to study problems related to an extraterrestrial presence.
Mm-hmm.
We must be supporting a document called the RAND. We were studying, defining, and conceiving all sorts of weird things, and they descended on us in this so-called research with an intensity that made me desperate to know the truth. Join the circle of people gathered by the conference room, located down the hall. These were my friends and colleagues. Wheaton, the VP in charge. I suppose VP means very important person, is it?
Vice president, vice president.
The vice president in charge, who got his doctorate at Caltech but never discussed it, was a really big guy. His secretary, Sheila Potts, was always brushing her brown hair. Dr. Klemperer, in his white schmuck, was our member of two boss over the other. I'm sorry, was our number two boss over the other PhDs.
Yeah.
The others were Jim Jenkins, my buddy, Dr. Nick Sorensen, a geoastrophysicist, Dr. Dr. Hertling, one
Yeah.
of our propulsion analysts, and Dr. Weston Jensen, an elderly man from another part of the tank, and Carl Nielsen, our optoelectronics guy, who was always slapping his thighs when circumstances got too overwhelming or when one of us broke the ice with a funny. Approaching the group, I said, "So are we convening in the hallway today, or has someone called for a rain dance?" I got a few chuckles from Jim Jenkins. He saw things the same way. He was another junior grad type. The girls were crazy about him. Elmer Witten raised a brow. He rubbed his knuckles across his thick mat of grey hair. "Everybody inside," he said. "We're about to start the meeting as soon as Edelson gets here." I couldn't help but scowl at the sound of that. Vince Edelson was from the front office. He was the worst SOB, meaning
Son of a bitch.
son of a bitch. Oh, yeah, he was the worst son of a bitch on the planet. He was the type of guy who'd gotten to the top by stomping on ideas and making his fellow co-workers look bad. The only way he ever got anywhere in the company was by budding up with Douglas Jr. and kissing the arses of manufacturing corporate executives on a regular basis. Needless to say, I wasn't looking forward to working with him on this project. "Why is he in here?" I asked. "No one from the corporation is permitted in the tank." We all mumbled and shuffled our way into the conference room. Tagging along beside me, Jim muttered, "So the metaphysical convention begins." I smiled grimly and said, "Hey, it's possible these missions and configuration concepts could provide us with a steep learning curve, like enough to fend off the threats which appear to be coming from out there. It may mean the life or death of our species. I want to be prepared as possible rather than turn a blind eye to the limitless possibilities."
Mm-hmm.
The elaborate conference room could hold over 30 people. It had modern upholstered swivel chairs, overhead movie and slide projectors, and a pull-down screen. We situated ourselves at the oval table in the room's center and started setting up our paperwork. Everyone was abuzz with speculation to what the day's thrust would bring, facing what I knew would be another round of deception from Edelson. I felt a knob develop in my stomach. I felt a knot develop in my stomach. Just then, Vince Edelson rushed through the door and pushed a chair next to Elmer Wheaton. I rolled my eyes. He always wanted to be the mediator, to look more important than he really was. "Okay, Sheila, you can start typing down the minutes," Elmer said as he began the meeting. Sheila nodded, flipped her brown hair, just like she always did. "Today," Elmer said, "we are going to discuss the possibility of multiple extraterrestrial threats and the measures we have conceived that the Navy should take to form a plan of action against them. We're going to define defensive and offensive interstellar missions.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also going to discuss how we should configure launch and landing facilities for our spaceship designs."
Mm.
Since it is virtually certain that these other vehicles originate from a sector of our galaxy Let's open the discussion with the types of alien species hypothesized previously and the sectors of our galaxy they come from. Dr. Sorensen, would you please disclose your findings for the group? At this, Dr. Sorensen sorted through his paperwork, stood up, shifted his thick-rimmed glasses on his nose, and cleared his throat. In a thin, raspy voice, he said, according to our analysis of the closest star systems, Alpha Centauri is the closest, only 4 light years away. But it is not the most likely candidate because it appears to be a twin star. If correct, they may be too close together to provide stable planetary orbits. What we need are stars that have planets with a similar distance ratio to their stars as we have to our sun.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, stars that are further out than Alpha Centauri are the most probable ones, planets, on which we might see attack. Also, and this is very important, this region, the next 10 stars out, poses the possibility of finding planets with ecosystems viable to Earth colonization.
Mm-hmm.
Folding his arms, Edelson said, "Speak up." Dr. Sorensen glanced at him. He raised his voice and shouted, "Over here." He pointed out to a star map with circles drawn around numerous places, each representing possible intelligent extraterrestrial civilizations.
Mm-hmm.
Now I believe, as a first step, that if we can harness enough power with the use of Dr. Klemperer's electromagnetic propulsion and with his unconventional propulsion schemes for long-term space exploration, the possibility of landing one of our proposed naval spacecraft carriers on one of Alpha Centauri's planets is achievable.
Wow.
I interrupted. We won't land. We have no resistance. We'll park in orbit and launch our landing craft to the surface. Good thinking, Bill, Elmer said. Edelson scoffed. Just how do you propose backing up your claims for the Navy and Lieutenant Commander Daniel Howard? A few star maps and a hypothesis won't impress him. Our Nike anti-ballistic missiles are, it's the last page,
Yep.
are the strongest selling point. We're wasting our goddamn time with this theoretical horseshit. Now wait just a minute, I interrupted. I haven't finished my cup of coffee yet, and you're already whining in our ears. This project is far too big for you to understand. If we take our propulsion method, space carriers, and colonization ideas to the Office of Naval Intelligence or the Office of Naval Research, the Navy will fund us millions of research and development dollars to support Starship production programs. Just back off, Edelson, and take your narrow-minded point of view elsewhere.
That's funny.
All right, let's get a move on. Whitten stepped in. Edelson, don't jump in unless you have some useful feedback for the group. I know you have the company's best interests in mind, but we don't need to start a boardroom brawl at 9:30 in the morning. Sheila, strike out their profanity in the minutes. And Tompkins, since you had the floor last, bring us up to speed on your spacecraft carrier configurations. Open my briefcase and retrieve the configurations. I unfolded them from the opposite side in the center of the table, facing Whitten. I began, okay, what we have here are two basic designs for naval spacecraft carriers. These are two trade-offs for configuration T and one for configuration J. All three are based on alien threat file number 44022, with the exception of the Nova 3 exploratory drop mission. Of course, these all utilize Dr. Klemperer's and H.E. Salzer's electromagnetic propulsion concepts. Both configurations for T are 1.5 kilometers long, and configuration J is 1 kilometers long. Bill, you're smoking pot again, Edelson said. And where is your effing system plan? You were supposed to show us what these spaceships of yours were supposed to do to justify their existence. Mr. Edelson, you are out of order again, Witten said. I rolled I rolled out my 8-foot functional flow plan and 6-foot ship system development diagrams, but Edelson jumped across the conference table, almost half lying on it, and pointed at configuration J.
And just as it's getting good, we stop, but we're doing it so that there's only about 10 pages every time. And thank you, Brandon. We are going to eventually try and do all of Tompkins' books. There's 3 volumes now, but I was told that there is a 4th volume that's coming at some point, and I don't know if it's Dr. Sala taking over for Dr. Robert Wood, who's now passed away, essentially. But this is fantastic, and just as it's getting good, we have to stop, but we'll be back again for William Tompkins number 4. So again, thank you, Brandon, and yeah.
Cheers. Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Cheers. Bye.